Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Money in the Law here on MyFM 101.3. I'm joined by my co-host, Jay Marsden of the Marsden Law Group. I am, of course, John Droin from Main Effort Financial, and we are also joined by the Holliston Cable Access TV.
Always.
And this is Money in the Law. And as we start our show today, we are also joined by His Royal Majesty.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. His momentary presence.
The voice of Milford. Can we?
Me?
Yeah. Can you?
Can
you speak to me?
I know.
Can you speak like on our show right now? Just because if everybody knows his voice, everybody just say it. Say something.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, he's doing
That's a different guy.
He's doing one of his voices.
Different
That's
guy.
right. That's
That's right.
You know,
Yeah,
what are there? 10 people in that room with him in there? He's got a whole cast of characters.
None other than Ray Augier, who is our man. He is the morning man here on MyFM 101.3 during the week. He is the one who brings everybody. He starts everybody's day.
He does.
He starts everybody's day.
He starts everybody's. You know what he really starts too is everybody's weekend.
He starts everybody's weekend. We make everybody's weekend.
That's true.
Because he doesn't start today. He doesn't start today.
No, but
That's
he does start. That is his thing. He does get it going. By the way, where are we broadcasting from?
We are broadcasting from the New England Bonsai Garden studio.
Yes, come on.
Of course we are.
The tropical sub-paradise subtropical paradise, whatever it is. Yeah.
Sometimes you forget. You just try and hold my hand.
Stay on your side of the radio, eh?
But, I sometimes you do forget. You're in here, and if you're watching at home on TV, you can see it is a luscious jungle in here.
Yeah.
It really is.
I think there's wildlife too. Something's going on.
Something just slithered across my foot.
Something made some noise in the bushes over there.
That's right. So how are you?
How am I?
I know. Wait, no. It's almost a rhetorical question.
I mean, I can't believe you're even asking that question. First of all, I am riding high. Why am I riding high?
Because Memorial Day was last weekend.
Yes,
that's right. And although Jay is didn't you speak at the Memorial Day?
I did speak.
Yes,
I spoke at the Memorial Day parade as the incoming chairman of the Holliston Board of Selectmen. With the way we set
40
it up.
minutes. You had a 40-minute.
It's funny. I've been spoken to about the length of my verbal presentations before. I have been spoken to about that. And this year, if anybody wants to see the speech, HollistonReporter.com. They have some video on it. So nice. It was a very great turnout, I should say. Great turnout. Very well attended. Lots of folks coming out to recognize obviously everybody who's given their life and service to the country on Memorial Day. And my speech that I started off with a quote from the Peloponnesian War attracted some attention.
Oh, there you go.
And so I got a lot of people during the week kind of looking at me a little funny and said, really?
Yeah.
Peloponnesian War?
Of course.
I said, well, why? It's exactly what I said. What do you mean? Why? Why not? Why would? Why
Who
would
doesn't
you start?
know about the Peloponnesians?
Where else would you start? Right?
Who else
Do you have a better suggestion? I'm all ears.
Yeah.
So
you know what?
Yeah.
I have a better suggestion when it's your turn to speak. How about
Absolutely.
that?
Yeah, absolutely.
When you speak, you can speak about whatever war you like. It was my turn.
Yeah, for me, that's where I was going. So a lot of laughs about that. I took a little heat on that, but no, good turnout, great message, and so it was a nice day. The weather held off, which was great. The day can be, you kind of catch 22. Some days you're out there, it's 90, you're baking in the sun.
Right.
Other days you're out there, it's rainy, it's cold. This was kind of right in the middle. Your typical New England, 80 one day and 50 the next. So welcome to Memorial Day in New England, right?
Yeah, I missed it.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why. I have a good excuse why.
Please, I'm dying to hear.
I was invited to go to the Holden Memorial Day
Oh,
parade.
that's right. I believe you have an inn over there.
I do. Our friend,
yes.
So your compatriot on the
my contemporary,
on local government selectmanism.
Yep.
Anthony Renzoni.
Not a word, but
Well,
that's
you know
good.
what I was talking
I know.
about.
Yeah, good.
He invited me to come to the Holden Memorial Day
VIP,
parade.
right? The VIP tent?
I was in the VIP tent, yeah. But what little did I know is that it was kind of like this is your life. So he and I were in the same company back when I was in the National Guard, and there were about 15 other guys from our guys that I haven't seen in a long time. So it was kind of like a who's who of our old company. So it was really, really fun.
Oh, that's great.
And then, of course, Anthony Renzoni, in his classic style, he's like, whenever he would do something, it always has to be over the top, right? He's this big, giant guy, right?
Yeah.
So I get there, and I'm thinking it's going to be like, a regular Memorial Day, town Memorial Day parade, right? So all of a sudden, I hear the parade coming. So I'm like at the end of it, and I hear it coming, and I hear it a long ways away. And it's not like fire engines. I mean, it's a band. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a marching band. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a real Army marching band that he rented. He's like, oh yeah, it only cost me $8,500.
Oh, that is
yeah,
great.
So it was, and it was really, really well done. It was really well done. So I was lucky to go there. So I'm sorry I missed your speech.
That's okay. That's all right. I'll do it for you again. I'll swing by the house.
You know,
and do it for you.
I'm gonna go over to Holliston Reporter and look at it.
Yeah, I'm going to swing over to Cassandra, honey. I'm going to do this
fighting
live for the Drohans. I think that's something that they've requested, and be wrong, be wrong of
we
me
get
not,
an encore performance.
recognize his service.
You got your notes. You got your...
Yeah. I'll commit it to memory. I'll be able to give it to you, a couple of, whatever. So good stuff. So that was
I do love the local Memorial Day celebrations, particularly here in Massachusetts. They do a tremendous job. You just so many towns do a really good job.
I completely agree with you, having been party to quite a few of them. But I guess I will say this as well. For those who enjoy the parade, I think, and I believe everybody understands this. But if you don't, throwing a parade is not easy.
Oh no!
I mean, it's not like, let's just get a couple people together and let's
start walking,
march up and down the street.
Point A to point B.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a big deal, right? I mean, especially to your point, putting on a really good parade, right? That involves work. I mean, there's so like everything that's happened in town, there's a parade committee, there's a Memorial Day parade committee, and these guys have to come up with, they got to come up with the marchers, they got to come up with the route, they got to come up with the permits, they got to decide, again, now you're competing as well, right? Oh, you call up the band and you say, hey, you guys are free Memorial Day, right? You're not marching in any parades, right? There's only 351 of them today, right? You guys available? So, assembling, not only those people, but then you got to assemble the locals, right? There's always, you got to get involved with your local, whether it's your VFW, your local.
You got to find the guys, right? You got to find all the veterans, right? You need your VIP car, right?
Yes, you need that.
We need to find the oldest veteran, right? That guy needs to be in the front, right?
And he needs to be helped to the car at this point because you usually got a couple miles on him.
God
And you got to get a
him.
marshal.
Yep.
You got to find a grand marshal. You got to get. So I mean, it is.
You got to get a chaplain, right?
That's
There's got to be a.
That's right. That's right. You got to bring up. You always got to bring in some, and you might even have to get a couple of chaplains. You might have
Why
a couple
not?
of denominations represented.
Why not?
So and you got to have, and you got to have equipment, right? You got to have, when you go to to wherever your gathering point is going to be. I can tell you there were a couple of years there where. For any number of reasons, they sort of struggled coming up with some actual equipment to let somebody hear what's going on, right? That became hard. But I will tell you this: here's what makes every parade, in my own personal opinion, aside from my own presence, what I think makes a parade, and you're going to agree with me, bagpipes. I mean, without them,
Right.
We might as well be marching around with mufflers on.
That's right. We might as well just put the sirens on on the fire engines, and that's it. And that's all we need.
You break out the bagpipes, it's a game changer.
It does.
It's a game changer.
Right. And it does, and it could be an awful parade. Like, it could be the worst weather. It could be like hardly anybody there. But as long as you got a bagpiper come, and then if you can throw in some, the fife and drums, and if you get some, that's just showing
That's
off.
where everybody wants to be. They want to see that. They want to smell some gunpowder, and they want to hear some bagpipes. That's what they want to have happen. That's what they want to have happen. So and a couple of years early on the Holliston parade, they didn't have bagpipes.
Nope.
And one of the guys who's involved in putting it together grabbed a group of pipers one year and brought them in, and game changer. So brings the level up a little bit, raising the game.
I'm sure the Holden one was good. Did they have bagpipes? No, they did not.
Oh, they did not.
No, no bagpipes.
Oh, well, Mr. Selective. But he had an army band. That's fine.
Well,
but
you know what?
That's good.
You know what? Yours was good, and his, So
hey, they all bring something different.
They're all trying to accomplish the same thing.
That's right.
That's right.
And they all do accomplish the same
right.
thing. And but like I said, for those who take part in sort of watching them, just hats off to the people who put them together, because it is by no means an easy task.
No. All right, so is that what we're talking about today? Volunteerism?
You want to talk about parades all day long? What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. I wanted to err on the side of the law today. I wanted to talk about what you want to talk about.
Well,
and here's the reason why. I was thinking about. So, we can talk, whatever. We talk finance stuff all the time, and it's important and it's fascinating, of course, to all of you out there, right? Often, But one of the things is that when there's a legal situation, and you can attest to this, when there's a situation that involves you need to call the lawyer, or the lawyer has to look at that, or this has to be reviewed by a lawyer, then it takes on a level of like, well, this means that if it's not done correctly, or if it's not done to standard, then it's gonna then it's not gonna work. It's gonna be an entire waste of time if we're doing like a will or things aren't gonna work out exactly as I anticipated them if I'm doing some estate planning, or if it's a a criminal legal matter. Then it's like, well, I could go to jail longer than I thought I was going to jail.
Right. That's right.
So
That's right.
so I mean, although money does come before the law in our show and in pretty much everything that we do, like when I stand in front of Jay in the pictures for no apparent reason. In all seriousness, the law is important. Like there's a law for a reason, like the code or the law, and it's important, and it's something that I think people they respect. I think
Sure.
in general people need to respect it. So I was thinking about that. I'm like, you know what, we're going to talk law today. I am going to support you.
Wow.
I'm a supporting effort to you today.
All right. That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
What do you got?
That means you spent the whole weekend on the beach.
That's
what
not
that means.
true.
That's what that means.
I
That's what
wasn't
that
at the
means.
beach. I was at the Holden. I was in
Holden.
Holden.
That's one day.
Yeah.
It's one day. 2 hours.
Yeah.
I got it. Well, it's funny. Coming over here, somebody had said to me, the question I got, which we get all the time, the question we got was, we have a piece of property and we need to do something with it. Okay? And they had inherited
paint it?
Well, they had inherited it,
Yeah.
right? And so the question was, this was the question. The question was, we're going to take this piece of property, and now what do we do, right? And we may have touched on this in pieces in past shows, but the idea was, the question that comes in, this happens all the time, is we got a piece of property, mom passed away, now we have to go through probate, and we have to sell this piece of property. What are we going to do with it? What are we going to do with it? Now, we're
going to go back in time and we're going to put it in a trust, so it doesn't have to go through probate.
That would be ideal,
because I studied for this quiz.
But that's usually not what happens, okay? But I will tell you what does happen. For whatever reasons that still escape me, somebody says, I get this property, and we have to get it on the market pronto, right? Like, we have to get it on the market. Like, my poor mother, passed away 3 days ago, and I want to go hang that sign out today, right now. This house is up for grabs, right? And the challenge of that is two things. Number one, you have a lot to do, possibly, right? But the other part of it is, while you're doing all that stuff costs money, okay? Having a piece of property that's hanging around that you want to unload, and I understand the wanting to unload it.
You got to keep the lights on.
That's right. If you've done no planning, that's exactly right. You have to keep the lights on. If it's the winter, you got to keep the heat on. You got to
keep the water on.
You got to pay the property taxes. You have to keep the water on. If you're going to be in and out of the house, and you're going to be doing stuff, and you're going to be emptying the house, so you have to sort of put a plan together on the front end that says, look, the objective is for us to empty this house, right? Now, what you need to think about is, how are we going to do that?
Well, you just said it right there. I mean, so if somebody, especially if it's an older person who passes away, oftentimes they have accumulated things over their lifetime, right?
Oh, yeah.
And some people accumulate more than others. And, oftentimes there's a ton of stuff in there. There's a ton of stuff that could have value, right? It could have sentimental value, it could have financial value, but there's probably a metric ton of stuff inside that house.
That's right.
And in order to sell it, right, you're not selling it with all that stuff in there, right? So you have two choices. You can either call 1-800-GOT-JUNK, not a sponsor, but they could be, or somebody like that, and you could say, hey, come and empty the house. And you know what they'll do? They'll do it.
And they will do it, and to your point, to have them do that, the family needs to get on board with the idea that we truly feel like everything in this place
needs to go
out the door,
Yeah,
right?
right.
I mean, and I would suggest even, and usually, because people ask me all the time, like, okay, so my mother died, my father died, my brother's the executor, and so, he's in charge, and he won't let me in the house, right? Well, so the first thing that has to happen is somebody actually has to get appointed as the executor, because even though it's in a will, that doesn't mean that they get the job right away, right? There is a process. Well, we talked about it before, where somebody actually
have to be approved by the
That's right. They're going to get a piece of paper from the court with the judge's signature on it that says, yes, John, you are the executor. Now that person has the ability to start signing stuff like listing agreements and offer sheets. Prior to that time, Everyone's signing stuff all over the place.
Doesn't
The
matter.
brokers don't care. They're so excited to get a listing. They'll let you sign anything, right? They don't get Bruce Springsteen. Oh,
Anybody-
thank you, Mr. Springsteen. Look forward to working with you. I love your music. Sign here. I mean, they'll do that. So you need to. So you got to pump the brakes a little bit and say, oh, first of all, hold on. Somebody has to get appointed, and that's going to take a couple of months. Now, while that's taking place, while you're waiting to get your appointment, if everybody's on the same page,
Get to work.
that's a great opportunity for everybody to roll up their sleeves and let's figure out what has to happen with everything in this house, right? And the first thing I tell people is go through it and basically take what you want, right? Figure it out. Figure out your Yankee swap
Now
system.
wait a
okay?
minute. But
But this is
also-
everybody. It's not just one person.
But
This is
yeah, but
everybody.
there's also probate, right? So I mean, some wills are specific, right? Some wills will,
Yes.
will say, my baseball glove goes to, my brother. I mean, I think in my will, my baseball glove still goes to my brother.
That's
right.
right. That's
yeah.
right.
So if there's something that's itemized inside the
Yeah.
will, then that of course, I mean, you can try and horse
Yeah.
trade
Well,
that
let
stuff.
me qualify that. that assumes that everybody is on the same page.
Right.
Okay. So all the siblings get together. Everyone is standing around the grave together, boo-hoo-hooing someone's demise, and no one's trying to push somebody else.
Somebody
in.
leaves early, right?
That's right.
Somebody
That's
leaves
exactly
the wake
right.
early. That's
Yeah.
exactly. I can just see my sister doing that,
Yeah.
right? I could see
Yeah.
my sister leaving early, getting in the house, and being like, and just backing the truck up.
Guys, I'm gonna head back to the house and set some stuff up for
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna
people
set
that
up
are
the
coming back.
food,
I'm gonna. You guys stay as long as you want. Actually, stay a real long time. I'll be right back. Right, and then back to the China cabinet. Right.
Hey, where's that Picasso that was hanging right there? I
That's
don't know.
right. That's right. That's old Picasso. Oh, that was a dog's playing poker. So if everybody gets along, yes, while you're waiting for, because that's the big step, right? The big step is selling the house, right? But you bring up a great point, which is there may be a ton of little steps in the house that you have to get over, because without getting over those, the gloves could get dropped right in the living room, just like they did when you were kids, right? So assuming that everybody's on the same page. Now, by the way, your parents or whoever you're working on this house for, they may have left very specific written instructions. We tell people all the
you're
time,
lucky.
because they ask all the time, who gets the pencil holder? Who gets the telephone? Who gets the speakers, right?
Who gets the TV, Dad?
That's right. That's
Who
right.
Gets
Who gets
the car?
Who gets the
Yeah.
4K? That's right. So there may be a list, and we tell clients all the time, if you want to put a list together about specific individual items, this is when you do it. Now, the reason it's not in the will is because family is family.
Yeah.
You're going to have a huge blow up over Thanksgiving dinner, and your parents are going to tear up the list and say everybody gets nothing, or whatever they do, right? Whatever happens, right? And then everyone's going to...
Nobody's getting what classic.
Nobody
way,
gets
that's the-
nothing.
That's the best way to end Thanksgiving dinner.
Nobody gets nothing. Everybody
gets
out.
Nothing.
Everybody out,
Yep.
right? Everybody out.
Yep. Goodbye. Good night.
Right?
Yeah,
Because,
happy Thanksgiving.
because the joke is, like I was at somebody's house a couple weeks ago and they were asking about the specific items. And by the way, this is the beauty of this. You want to start a conversation, just toss that concept on the table, right? Just say to somebody like, hey, how would you get rid of everything in the house? And everybody has a story, right? So everybody has a sticker story, right?
Yeah.
They always somebody walked around and they color coded their kids, right? John's blue, Jay's green, and everything with a green sticker on it. Jay gets everything with a blue sticker. There is no end to the way people line
That's not a
this
bad
up.
idea. I may start that right
Well,
now.
but if you're going to do that, put the stickers on the back of stuff. Don't put the stickers where everybody can
bottom,
see it. Put it someplace where we can see it, right?
Is that blue or green? I don't know.
That's bluish green. That's turquoise. Who could that be? Who's turquoise? Anybody turquoise? Yeah. By the way, don't get the colors that look the same, right? Get
right.
get
Is that
very different
mauve?
colors.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Get very. Use the full spectrum of the color palette, right? Don't bunch them all
Yeah,
up.
don't get cute.
Don't get ivory
Yeah,
and bone
right.
and taupe, right? Get something different, right? So
beige. I'm
so
beige.
so there could be that. There could be a letter that somebody says, "This is what I want to have happen to my sentimental items." But those things in the house, and by the way, it'll say right in the, you mentioned the will. It'll say right in the will. If there isn't a letter like that, the executor makes the call.
Yeah.
Right now, that could mean trouble. That could mean trouble.
You know what? That's where if you or I were appointed as the executor, like, listen, you know what? That's where it's prefaced with, okay, I'm doing this for mom. I'm doing this for
I'm
dad.
just following.
All I'm doing. I'm
Mom's wishes.
just executing my duties as the executor, right? I'm just pretend it's not me. Pretend
Yep.
it's not me
Yep.
saying that I get the TV. Pretend it's not me saying that I get the boat and the because I'll need the trailer as well to move the boat.
Right. I mean, because you're getting a shoe shine kit a colander,
and all the shoes that go along with it.
yep,
Right.
and the old broken refrigerator in the garage.
Do you remember how you love the blender?
Right? All yours. It's a
Walk
kitchen
away.
mate.
Yep.
It's a kitchen mate. Settle down. Settle down.
The
right?
blender with a brain.
But guess what? If that's what the will says, the executor is in charge, right?
All right, we got to take a hard break.
All right,
I mean,
hard break.
I'm having a little. We're getting a hard break from outside. All right, we'll be right back on Money in the Law. Stay tuned. Stay with us because we're talking about some fun stuff. We're actually having it's lighthearted.
Lights,
right?
lights. After it's summer. It's summer show. We're at summer show. Business casual.
Post-Memorial summer show.
Business casual.
Jay Mars and John Drohan, My FM 101.3 in the New England Bonsai Garden Studios. We'll be right back.
Stop. And you're back, Money in the Law, My FM 101.3. He's Sean Drohan of Manfred Financial. I'm Jay Marsden of the Marsden Law Group, coming to you from the New England Bonsai Garden Studio with Christian from HCAT.
You know what we need
Driving
here?
the bus?
You know what we need here?
Piano.
I was going to a keyboard. Yeah, we
see,
need
of
it. We
course.
need
Yeah,
a
we
keyboard.
do our own
We need-
music, our own
we
theme
need-
music.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's
Yeah,
good. That's
if I
good
could
stuff.
play.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. Do you play the keyboard? Do you have any
No.
keyboard experience? You're a
Nope.
guitar.
No, guitar
You're a
guy.
guitar
Never
guy.
had any interest in the keyboard. Love the idea. Love
Right.
the idea, but that looked like a lot of work. I mean,
Yeah, you gotta
That's
practice.
88 keys. That's a
You
lot.
gotta-
That's a
it
lot.
takes
Yeah,
some work. But
it's a
then
lot.
once they get it, they get it. Like my kids all play piano, and they're like, it's like, can you teach? In fact, one year I think for Christmas, Chloe got me 10 free piano lessons. I think
yeah.
this is like 3 Christmases ago. I'm still going to cash in on those lessons.
I will use them.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. 10 free piano lessons. So
Yep.
at
I keep them in the box with my English leather. Yep, I definitely am using those.
Yeah,
Yep, absolutely.
I can't wait.
Yep,
I can't
good
wait.
stuff.
So when I'm after my 10th lesson, I should be able to have some kind of a small keyboard here.
Well, speaking of pianos, the piano is one of those things that people may or may not be fighting about at the house.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. Because the
Now,
piano could be worth something.
could be worth something, or it could be worth absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and
and
someone's gotta
somebody's
move it.
gonna say, "I'm not moving that thing. I'm gonna get rid of that." And by the way, just so you know, pianos, they're a dime a dozen on Craigslist.
Yeah.
Okay, just so you know, because this happens. Everybody you talk to, any so-called expert in your family, is going to tell you that upright piano is worth big money. Big money.
Yep.
The answer is it is not.
It's
worth
not
big
worth
money.
as much
It's a
as
big
you think.
hassle,
Yeah.
is what it is. So
Now, if it's that baby grand piano that Billy Joel
let me tell you something.
played,
I'll tell you something. You know what? I had a situation where a client did have a baby grand piano that they were unloading, and it was same story, less valuable than somebody might think it would
kidding.
be. Yeah. I mean, again, everybody thinks it's worth a ton of stuff. It's worth a ton of money, but you got to look at it in the grand scheme of what else is out there.
You know when it's not worth a ton of money? Let's say you're in like one of those raised ranches, right? And you got to go down not one flight, then make a turn, and then the second flight of stairs. You know what I'm talking about? Like down one,
I find,
landing, down two.
Situations where they built the house around the piano.
Oh, yeah.
Those are my favorite.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite.
So when you're wedged in and that piano's like mushing your head up against the
Yeah.
wall, and you have to make a turn to
Yeah.
get down
And
and
you
out,
can feel
out
your
the
skull
bottom.
actually crushing.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that piano's not worth near as much as you thought it was.
Right.
At that
Oh,
point.
and by the way, just so you know, your ability to move that piano at age 55 is a lot different than it was when you helped Dad carry it in at age 25. I'm not saying that you're not up to the task.
Right, and remember, you had 4 of your friends that were in high school with you.
Oh,
That
all the
played
guys
football.
from the football team?
That's
Yeah,
right.
those guys? Yeah,
and
yeah,
those
yeah.
guys
That
helped
was a
out.
piece of cake.
Right, and your dad each bought him a 6-pack of Coors Light.
And it was
that
acceptable back then, not a problem.
And,
right?
and in fact, they gave him change. They're like, oh, no, Mr. Drohan, here, take 2 back. That's fair.
And actually, it was Coors, and it was a big deal because you couldn't get Coors then because you couldn't get it east of the Rockies because
That's
it was
right.
cold filtered.
That's right.
So it was like, oh my God,
How did he get this? Yeah.
and he got us these Coors. They were delicious.
Best beer I ever
God,
had.
it was like, oh, it's just so tasty, delicious, unbelievable. You wouldn't wash the piano with it now, but you're like, oh, so great. Not a sponsor, but anyway.
I wouldn't wash my dog with
That's
it.
right. That's right. But anyway, so again, there's going to be things. You're right in the sense that in a perfect world, everybody's on the same page, which it's not a perfect world, so nobody ever is. So
not. So
now
that
you
ain't
have
happening.
but now you have to decide. Clients, and you asked before about when you get the lawyers involved, and clients will call up all the time, right? And they'll say, my brother has got this thing about the golf clubs, right? And you got to say to them, like, okay, you got to make a decision here, right?
Right.
Do you, to be frank, do you really care, right? Is it worth, potentially wrecking a relationship over a set of golf clubs? Yes, I'm not going to say that somebody will say, look, but my brother, first of all, my brother hated golf.
Yeah.
Never played a day in his life. My father and I played every Sunday and every Father's Day, and it was the best quality
And I bought
time
him
we ever
those
had.
clubs.
And I bought him those clubs, and they
Right.
meant the world to me, and my dad loved them. I understand that. I understand that. I understand that you're making a memory. I got it. Now, that's a memory. That's in the past, right? Now you got to decide. Are you going to fight the good fight over the golf clubs, right? And somebody's going to say, yes, I am.
I mean,
yes, I am.
think about it though. In that example, if you bought your old man the golf clubs and your brother was like, and you played golf with him every Sunday, I would just be seeing which club am I going to hit my brother with till he get. I'm going to say, all right, here, like 6-iron. I never played a 6.
Which club are they going to hold up while the lawyer says, Your Honor,
right.
I'd like to introduce
Evidence,
Exhibit
yeah,
A,
that's
right here, the 5-iron.
That's
that
right.
You put through the back of
Salt
the
and
skull.
battery.
Yeah, that's right. So again, this is going to be the case for all. And I promise you, the stuff that people gravitate to, it's never going to be the stuff that you think they're going to gravitate to.
Yeah.
It's just not the stuff. The
I mean,
weirdness of things. And again, remember.
Well, that's sentimental too.
That's
a lot
right.
of that is sentimental.
That's right.
And that's a real thing, right? That's we joke about it and we laugh. Oh yeah, you want the Victrola, record player, but if somebody wants that and they're like say no, I really really want that, then and it's all about kind of, because remember this all started with we've got to sell the house, right? We want to sell the house yesterday, but before we sell the house, we got to clear it out. We got to go through this. Yeah. So if somebody wants, if you're gonna sit there and you're gonna haggle over stuff over the course of 4 to 6 months, then guess what? Your house ain't selling for 4 to 6 months.
That's right.
So, and oh, by the way, like you said, that during those 4 to 6 months, while you have a house, while all 4 of you own a house, then all 4 of you are responsible for all the costs that go involved, like plowing the driveway, cutting the grass. If you have to get, and then that's not even talking about what you may have to do in order to get it to be able to be sold, right?
Oh, and by the way, and this all assumes, like for example, the cut the grass example, this assumes that your 89-year-old mother had a working lawnmower, right? Because probably not the case, right? And so, don't cut your lawn for a month and see what happens, right?
Yeah.
See how attractive that property looks on the MLS, right? It doesn't look that attractive on it. And so you're right. These things have to be maintained. And you are correct in the sense that you have to, as a team, you have to make a decision. Now, if you can't make a decision, don't worry about it. When somebody gets appointed the executor, they will then be the decision maker.
The Grim Reaper.
All right?
I mean, the decision maker.
And when you raise your hand to complain about it, the answer is going to be, and I kid you not, if there is some dysfunction in the family, the person who gets that job as the executor, they might as well, because they probably will, start making clothing with their appointment on the front of the shirt, right? So
That's
that the
right.
whole time
New
you're
business
complaining
cards.
and fighting, and they're just going to point to their T-shirt that has their letter of appointment right on the front of it, and they're going to say,
executor.
Quiet, I don't hear about it. Executor, right here. I'm with the executor,
I'll
right?
tell you what.
That's right.
I'll tell you what. That's a great idea.
Business opportunity right there.
For
Just
the
as soon as I said it, I thought about it.
Marsden Law Group, why don't you
Copyright,
have those
copyright.
Why don't you have those T-shirts made?
Yep,
right?
copyright.
And say, oh, so you're appointed executive? All right, so you're going to need these, and
Yep.
it's like a set of 3, right? Yeah. What size are you?
Yep. It's summertime, so you're going to need these T-shirts. It's wintertime, we give you a sweatshirt because you're working on a cold house with no heat, no hot water,
Hooded
no lights.
sweatshirt, right,
That's
right. Just like an electrician sweatshirt,
That's
right?
exactly right. That's exactly right. So this is
Executive.
going to happen. So you got to make a decision. You got to decide: are we all on board? Are we going to move this project along? And the sentimental stuff is the first stuff to go, right?
I'm just thinking about the T-shirt, right?
Still
I'm
the
thinking about what it says, like what it'll say, right? So on the front, I got this, right? So on the front it says like my way, on the back says highway. And you're like, you pick,
Take your
right?
pick.
Yeah.
Take your pick. Yep. Take your pick. That's my way or the highway. I like that. It's good. All right. You'll be able to buy those on the website
You're
pretty
going
soon.
to be able to see that on the Money Law
Buy those
website.
ones. You can pick those up at the office. Yep, come on in. We'll help you out with that. So that's the issue, right? That's what you're up against. So first of all, it's the personal stuff, right? The stuff that means, in many cases, not much in the way of monetary value, but it means the most in the way of a sentimental value, and that potentially is where the gloves can really come off. Now, the other thing that you have to think about, and you may have to fight against certain individuals in your family, is how much are we going to put into this joint, right? We're going to clean this joint up because, again, remember, if mom's 89, and unless dad was a finished carpenter right up until his final days, the house may need a little TLC.
And that's not a bad idea to bring in an expert. That's not a bad idea to bring in, like, say, and there's realtors or there's these staging companies or that'll say, hey, or like an accomplished realtor or accomplished selling agent who will say, okay, you want to sell this, here's what this thing will probably go for as is. You dump in $10,000 into this. Now you're taking it to a, your 10,000 could translate into $50,000 on the other end.
Yep. But beware of the relative or the sibling that says, you're sitting on a gold mine because they spend, most of their unemployed day watching DIY, home and garden television, and doing sort of flip or fly shows and telling you, hey, by the way, if you dump in $500, you'll increase your ROI by 5 million-fold, right? All you got to do is paint those walls, and you can ask for 50 grand more.
All you do is paint those walls, and then paint the ocean on the windows so it looks like you're on the water.
That's right. And then have an ocean sound and put in a sound. I mean, and this is real, by the way. People come in all the time, and they will tell you.
They think,
oh my God, just by the location alone, you're sitting on a gold mine. I mean, you're sitting on a gold mine. House worth $1 million.
Gold.
House worth $1 million. And then you say to them, well, I'll tell you what, I know it's worth $1 million. I'll give you my $1 million house for $375,000 right now.
Yeah.
You're pure profit. Write me a check. Well,
I don't know.
I'm not in a position.
It's not going to pass Title V. I mean, right now, once we get the right, because that's usually the biggest thing, especially with these older houses, right?
Yeah.
So hey, if you want to sell this house, you need a new septic. Okay, everybody, get ready, get your checkbooks out because this is going to cost $30,000.
And then everybody goes, oh, the septic's fine. The septic's fine. Well, that has any problems with it? Yeah. Okay. That's because your mother's been using it twice a day for 25 years. Of course, there's no problem with it, right? But you actually turn the water on in there, you might have some problems. We don't know what's going to happen once we get into this.
Take a shower, yeah. Two people are going to take a shower in the same day, Let's see what.
Someone's going to do a tub of laundry. You might have a problem, right? You might have some issues to worry about. So you got to kind of think this through.
We're going to run the dishwasher more than once a week. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're actually going to run the dishwasher instead of washing the same cup and bowl every day for 10, 15 years, right? This is what happens, right? So we're going to think this through. Now you got to make a decision, right? Are you in the clean the house up, do the best we can, sell it, and make whatever comes our way business? Or are we in the, we're going to actually throw some money at this? And by the way, and not only are we going to throw some money at it, everybody is of the means where they can throw some money in,
They have some money to throw in.
Because family being family, there's always one person who can write the check, and then there's the other person who kind of wants a loan on their future equity in the house that they're going to get from mom. So instead of a $30,000, home improvement bill spread across 3 people, it's a $30,000 home improvement bill spread across 2 people, and then you guys will get your money when the house sells, and I get my money on the back end.
Yeah. So do the math right, because there are no unknown variables in that equation you just presented, right?
Oh yeah,
absolutely not, right? So no, think about it. So let's say you have 3 siblings or 4 siblings, and you say, okay, everybody needs to kick in $15,000. $15,000 will get the septic fixed, it'll get the roof fixed, it'll get a new hot water heater, and it'll fix all
get the floors done.
Get the floors done. Oh yeah, I mean,
it's always the floors.
Keep coming, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we need to, and then we'll replace all the windows in the living room. Wait a minute, I'm sorry. Did I say 15 each? No, it's 20 each, right? So and if nobody has that, or let's say if one person doesn't have that, then it's like, okay, well, you know what? On the back end, now that's going to translate into some formula that's on the back. So this investment, I should get this. So if everybody kicks in extra, then on the back end, you'll get X amount less. But then what about on the back end? Your fault, my fault, nobody's fault, that it doesn't sell for what you think it's going to sell for.
Yeah.
And what if the money you just put, what if you said, okay, we're going to list this thing for $400,000, we're going to put in $80,000, and guess what? We sell it for $400,000 after we put the money in.
Yeah, we take a huge bath.
Yeah.
Oh, how about this? How about this? You thought you were going to do that, and then you find out there's a reverse mortgage on the property. All right?
No, that's not even fair.
We didn't realize that. We thought we were going to cash in $400,000, and somebody didn't realize or forgot to calculate in the fact that there's a $220,000 reverse on the property. So now we're going to $180,000, and we dumped.
You should find this out before anybody starts putting
anybody
picks up a paintbrush.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. Absolutely right. You should. But it doesn't. And by the way, and here's the other thing: when you're going through this process, if 2 out of the 3 of you are not on board with the house being, amped up and cleaned up and play the HGTV game, let me tell you what you're going to hear for the rest of your life, right? We could have made a killing on Myra and Dad's house, but you guys weren't into it. You didn't really have the nerve to jump in, spend a couple of bucks, right?
Proverbial,
Yep. So that's fine. Let's run in place.
Intestinal fortitude.
That's right. So again, That's an issue, and you have to
But they'll hold a grudge, right? Because it's like, I could have had more money. If
they
it were
will.
not
Absolutely.
for you, I could have had more money.
Yeah,
and usually those are the
free
people,
money that's out there.
right,
Yeah,
and usually those are the people who are the ones who, like you said, they're the ones who are leaving the wake early. Like, come on, let's get this thing going. Yeah. So what's going? And hey, what's going on with us? We need to have a meeting. We need to sit down. And you see it. You see it more than anybody. And we said it a million times on the show. People act weird when it comes to money, and we're not talking about millions of dollars here.
No,
right? We're not,
that's right.
This isn't. I mean, you split a $300,000 house 4 ways. After you pay your capital gains tax and after you do your home improvements, you're not going to make a ton of money.
No.
You're not going to retire. You know.
it's not a game changer. It's nice. Don't get me wrong. It's free money.
Oh, and no one will. Right.
And it might help soften the blow on college. It might even pick up the tab
really
for college.
help. It might really
Yes.
help, but it's not going to change the game.
Are you quitting your job? No.
Nope.
No. In some cases you might be, but in many cases, no. It's a piece of property, in the $300,000 to $400,000 range, $400,000 to $500,000 range. You're going to split it among 3 or 4 siblings, so you're going to walk away with $125,000. It's real money. I'm not saying it's not, but again, it's not money where you're going to say
It's not that Boston.
we settled my parents' estate. Now we're retired.
Yeah, my parents owned a 200-unit Boston condo complex.
Yeah,
that's a
that's right.
different animal.
Yep,
And in that case, guess what? Guess who's not haggling this thing out about how much money we put in? You're bringing in a pro.
Yes, that's right.
You're bringing in a pro. You're bringing in some. There's the executor who's going to be in charge of all this isn't going to be like your brother who's a part-time electrician. He's not going to.
That's right.
He's not going to manage. You're going to bring in somebody because if it's real money you're talking about, if it's something that, okay, you need to have somebody who understands that particular real estate market.
right.
I mean, you're not just going to.
That's right.
You're not going to
that's just you're not hanging a sign on the front of the building, for sale by owner. That's not that at all. That's not that at all. Right. This
for
is one
lease.
Of the, that's
yeah.
right. This is
when you're driving up Port 95 in Waltham for lease. Your business sign could be here.
No, you're right. You're bringing in somebody who says, this person specializes in moving, property in the $200 million range in a commercial marketplace, and they have 7 buyers lined up that you don't even know exist that can bring real cash to the table. And so again, you have to make the decision. What's our game plan here, right? You've said it on the show a million times. You got a plan. You got a plan. So the answer is, what's your game plan? Are we going to try to do something? And by the way, you can also have a conversation around who of the siblings wants to take. Hey, you know what? You want to take on that project? You love that project? Great. Write a check to the rest of the estate. The house is yours. We'll turn over our interest, and you can go and do whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah.
Might as well sell it to you versus somebody else. No broker involved. We'll take a couple of bucks off the table, and out the door you go, and you can do whatever you want to do. Now,
that's a big decision, though.
It is a big decision, and I'll tell you something. If you want to do, this has come up where clients come in and say, my family member wants to buy this piece of property, and the first thing the family member who wants to buy the property wants to do is he wants to say, look, why don't you guys sign over your interest to me, right? And then when the house is mine, then I'll go and I'll get a mortgage and I'll get some money,
take care of it. Yeah,
and then I'll
you.
come back and I'll pay you guys. Well, that's one way to do it, okay? And if everybody's on the same page, that might not be a big deal.
Right.
But again, family being family, I've been involved in situations where I've said, look, we can do it that way, but here's what we're doing. We're writing up a promissory note, right? We're going to make this look as much like a business deal as we possibly can.
Because it needs to be.
Because it needs to be.
Right, because if it doesn't, because if like with anything, right, if it's something doesn't happen the way it's supposed to happen, your fault, my fault, nobody's fault, and someone gets shortchanged on money,
That's
you
right.
got one option. Well, you got 2 options. Option number 1 is you can say, whatever,
Not a big deal.
live and let live, right?
Yep.
You know what? Fine. What's 20 grand, right? What's 50 grand? What's
Yep.
100 grand, right?
Yep, you can do that,
or,
sure.
Or the second thing you can do is you can sue your sibling.
That's right.
That's fun. Hey,
Yep.
guess
That makes
what?
the holidays awesome.
Yes.
Absolutely
Yes.
awesome. Let's
Let
sue.
us, you know what? I'm going to sue, right? Listen, I'm serving you. Here you go. We are suing you
And
guys.
by the way, and just so everybody knows, okay, when you begin a Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner with the words
How about
that
the
go
4th of
something,
July? Let's go 4th of
even
July, 'cause
before
that's
that,
summer.
when you begin the barbecue or something, when these words, maybe not exactly this way, come out, but when the words that go something like, and just before we even get started, no one is going to bring up the lawsuit. Okay, so let's just enjoy our
That's
time.
right.
Okay, when you're starting it off like that, I'm just going to say, It's a little bit rough getting off the ground. All right.
You know who loves those? You know who loves that part of that part is like, so let's say like I'm suing my brother, right? You know who really likes that is like our wives, right?
Oh, you beat me to it. I was just going to say the same thing.
I mean, you think you and your brother are having a crappy time? I mean, throw the wives and like, oh really? Your brother is suing us right now?
Yeah.
Oh,
and by the way, you don't even know. Like, yes, you know, somebody has announced at the barbecue that we're not going to talk about the lawsuit. But I'm going to tell you right now.
First thing we're talking about.
What do you think the conversation in the car on the way to the barbecue was going like? All right? Do you think it was
sitting in the driveway? Like, why are they still sitting in the driveway, not getting out of the car? Because they're talking about the lawsuit.
Someone appears to be somewhat animated in the driveway. What do you think they're talking about? I don't imagine they're planning the rest of their summer vacation.
Right.
I don't imagine that they're discussing where they're spending the fireworks. I think this might
which fireworks are we going to?
This might how about the fireworks that are going to happen in this backyard as soon as you walk through that gate?
Anywhere.
That's exactly right. So I'm telling you, you have to, if you're heading down that path, danger Will Robinson. That's all I'm going to say. All right. So you got to make a decision. So you got to decide. And sometimes, and you started the show off by saying, when do you get the lawyers involved, right? Sometimes you get the lawyers involved to say, look, guys, this is going to happen in as business-like a fashion as you could possibly imagine. Why? Because then nobody gets burned, nobody gets mad. There are rules. I know your siblings. Let's pretend you're strangers. Yeah. Not because we don't like you, not because we don't want to, kumbaya this thing out, but because the best way for us to handle this is like you're complete and total strangers.
Great, and that's a great point because think about it as like, okay, the lawyer is going to be the adult, right? Because everybody, and I know what happens with I know what happens with my siblings. I know what happens with your siblings. Like when you get together with your siblings, everybody. No, you're no longer 50 years old. I'm 15 years old, right? Yeah. Everybody just kind of gets in that mindset when they're dealing with like their siblings, which is a great thing. Which is
because you know them so ridiculously well and on such an intimate basis that you know all their weaks and strengths and weaknesses.
So in this sense, why wouldn't you want to bring like an outside, an authoritative figure? They bring that attorney and say, okay, here's how this is going to go. So then it's not on anybody. It's not you're not looking at one another and saying, hey, I'm angry at you. You're screwing me on this, or you're having second thoughts. Have somebody kind of map it all out and say, here's how. Here they frame it up. Here's how it's going down. Here's what's going to happen. Here's where we may be able to negotiate. Here's where we're not going to be able to negotiate. And you kind of walk everybody through it. And then it's...
Oh, by the way, and more importantly, even better, if both parties are represented by an attorney, not that I'm looking to run up the bill, but that's even better. Because you know what? Then I don't have to worry about talking to somebody who's emotionally so dialed into what's going on and can't separate themselves from the fact that, look, I know that this was your house and you grew up here and you are so wedded to it. But you know what? I was well on my way to college when we moved here and I didn't grow up here and I don't have the same emotional attachment to it. To me, it's just a house. To you, it's a home. So let the attorneys figure that out because for the most part, they're carefree people who have no emotional, they're just emotionally dead inside. And
they have no emotion.
They no heart, no sympathy. Soulless, right?
Empty.
That's right.
Money counting.
That's right. So they don't care. Right. So all they want to do is get the deal done. So
all they want to do, they don't want to get it done right away.
No.
No. We don't want to take our time. Okay. We want to get it done right.
The law takes time.
We want to do it right the first time.
It
takes time, and time is broken down in 15-minute increments.
Sometimes
I think,
18, depending if it's a phone call or a long email. Yes, absolutely right. It takes a long time. So this is, but you know what, you can tell your attorney. You can say to your attorney, look, I don't really care about the money, right? I just want to get this thing wrapped up and not wreck my relationship with my sibling. And I just help me get to the finish line on this. Keep me out of I don't want to get out of the mix. I don't want to deal with because I'll tell you something. That can be part of the problem, right? Part of the problem is this sort of discrepancy in value that people bring to the table, and people feel like they're insulting each other when you say, look, I don't think the house is worth that much. And there might be a whole bunch of reasons. So again, the best thing you can do in some of these cases is treat it as much like a business decision as possible and treat it like you were buying a house from a stranger. Not because you want to treat your family like strangers, but it's just easier to move some of that baggage off to the side and just focus on the task at hand and get it done.
And one of the things, you were talking about this earlier, about the idea of maybe one of the siblings is of more means or is in a life position where they let's say they really want the house, right?
Yeah.
Let's say that this is something that they want, or let's say they have a vested interest in it, or they want to. They don't want to lose it, right? They don't want it to go away. But at the same time, there could be the one sibling who doesn't want the house. Who say, look, if I'm going to get $100,000 out of this, I want my money, right?
Yeah.
I want my money. So in that circumstance, right, in that respect, that presents another family dynamic, right? That could be like, you're like, okay, so it's like, all right, we're going to buy this house. We're going to buy it off everybody. We're going to buy the rest of you out. But if what you don't want to have happen is you don't want to have one of those situations where they buy the house out and it's like they're like trying to steal it, right?
Yeah.
They say, because that's where even more so you want to have it to be a business decision, or have it to feel and look like a full-blown business decision with appraisals and more than one appraisal, so everybody feels like they're getting a fair deal in this.
And if a client comes into me and says, look, I want to lowball the daylights out of my family members because either there's some dysfunction going on, or I think one of them's pretty jammed up and he'll bite at anything because he needs to make. Again, as the attorney, you do whatever your client tells you. But I'll say to a client, I just want to let you know if the house is, and by the way, everybody knows what everything is worth now, right?
Yeah.
You go to Zillow.
Yeah,
right?
it's not as much of a secret anymore.
That's right. That's right. You bring in. Bringing the appraiser in for the hard stuff and things that are a little odd and one-offs. But for the most part, people get in the ballpark, right?
Yep.
So when you Zillow the house and it's worth $375 and you offer $180. You're setting yourself up for failure, right? And people get insulted, and then even if they know why you're doing it, they're going to be even more insulted.
They'll be mad.
They're going to be that's right, and then they're never going to do it,
Yeah.
right? So you come in and you say, look, the house is worth this without a broker. Everyone does that math really quick, right? We shaved that number off the top. Is that okay for everybody? What do you think, right? And then you let people come to it on their own, right? Don't because and again. They're gonna have that conversation with the spouse.
Yeah.
You mentioned a minute ago, right? So the spouse is gonna if there's a dynamic there, the spouse is definitely gonna say, they're trying to stick it to you. You need to.
They're going to flip it, right?
That's
They're going
right.
to turn
That's
around
right.
and they're going to, and that's probably in everybody's best interest to like all that needs to be fully disclosed. So if I were going to buy like my parents' house, I'm like, look, I'm going to buy the Connecticut house. Here's what I want to buy, and here's what I want to do with it. I'm going to dump $100,000 into this, and I think I'm going to be able to flip it. So we can do this one of two ways, because I know you guys aren't going to dump it, and that could take you back to like say, hey, look, you know what? If we all put money into this thing right now, then then we'll be able to sell it later on.
Right.
But there's risk. That's an investment. There's an investment risk involved with
Well,
that.
but
right?
then you're going to say to somebody, okay, we can all put in 100. You need to write me a check for 33 grand next Friday.
Yeah.
Can you do that? Do you need time to line up some financing? Do you need to get a home equity line? And there has to be a real sense of yes or no. Do you want to do it? If they say, well, I do want to do it, but I don't have the money, well, that's a different answer.
Then
okay?
That's a different answer, and then it's like, okay, so and then are they going to ask you to loan them the money, and then, or again, that convoluted, foggy, fuzzy math formula on the other end. So yeah, are you? If that's what you want, if you recognize that there is potential, there's potential investment in here, and if people are or aren't ready to do it, that decision has to be made.
That's right.
And,
That's right.
And if you really want to do it, and let's say you really want to do it, then you say, look, okay, I get it. I get that you guys don't want to do this now, but I feel like this is an investment that we want to do. I don't want you guys to hold a grudge against me if I do this, right?
Yeah.
I don't want you to be, because I'm going to put in, and that's where like this whole idea of,
Well, and by the way, this is where email is priceless.
Yeah.
Okay, this is where email is priceless because you can have everybody on the email and everybody understands what's going on, hopefully, and you have a paper trail, right?
Yeah,
Because when this blows up, that's what someone's going to say.
But I think you also got to talk. I mean, I'm thinking like in my own circumstance, right? If it was my situation, like with my family, I would sit them all down and I'd say, here's what I want to do. And I would put it in like third grade dumb English and say, here's, this is contingency A. This is what could happen.
That's right.
I could make $200,000. Contingency B, I could make no money. Contingency C, I could break even or I could lose money, right? And then here's the risk I'm taking. I want you guys to be comfortable with this, because if I got the vibe from my siblings that they were like, then I'd be like, you know what? Then I would have to make it my own decision. Is it worth it? Is it worth it for me to kind of is the extra money I would make on this worth blowing up my relationship with you guys?
And I think that's probably a great way to end the show, which is to think about this. At some point, no matter where you are in the process, no matter which of those personalities you take on, it might be you have to, in your own mind, say, I just might have to walk away from this.
Yeah.
All right. I just, getting into the dynamic and the family damage of the relationships that this might
worth
do
it.
if I try to muscle this through. And again, there's a whole bunch of ways to do this, right? People have asked me before, can I buy this through a straw man, right?
Yeah.
Can I basically buy this property and have my siblings find out after the fact? Yeah, we can do
times.
that. We can absolutely do
Good
that.
times.
Yeah, we can do that. Guess what? Again, back to what we talked about before, the language that begins every family meeting going forward. Say it with me. Let's say it together, okay? We can do that.
My brother would hire a straw man to come beat the living crap out
Yeah,
of me.
that's exactly
I'm
right.
the Scarecrow.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
the
right.
Wizard
That's
of Oz.
right. Yeah, that's right. There's your yellow brick road right there, right? So look behind that curtain. So so this is what you got to worry about, right? So you got to think about it. So ideally, going into these scenarios, especially when there's real estate that's going to be on the table, you got to decide: are we going to keep it? Are we going to try to do something with it collectively? Is that even workable?
Yeah.
Or are we just going to say, look, let's just get rid of it? And don't be afraid to say, look, you know what? Mom didn't do any work to the house for all the right reasons. She spent her time and her money the way she wanted to. She didn't have the ability to do it. She left us as property. This is what it's worth. We had an appraiser come in. They gave us a number. This is the number we're working off of. We're not going to get into this.
Let's do it.
This
Sell it.
throw money into it that may or may not work.
Sell it.
You take your money. You raise a glass to mom or dad. You say, thanks a lot, guys. We appreciate it. You left us a legacy. You left us some money that we can do something really good with, and we'll do the right thing here. But if you want to,
Who's that? Hey, who's that straw man peeking in the window?
if you want to drop the gloves and get into it, you can always give us a call. We'll help you walk through it. We'll take care of it for you.
All right, we got to go.
That's where
We
we're
got to
at.
go.
All right.
We got to wrap it up. All right.
Wrap it up.
Everybody enjoy the rest of your Saturday. On behalf of Jay Marsden, I'm John Drohan, Money in the Law in the New England Bonsai Studios. And thank you very much to our buddy Christian, who is filming us for the Holliston Cable Access TV, who, by the way, it's my favorite TV station.
Oh, mine too. Mine too.
One of the reasons I really love the Cable Access TV, other than the people, the wonderful people that work there.
The team is fantastic.
Yeah, they do nothing but support us and do nothing but support the town of Holliston. Is whenever there's an event at the high school, they always have those parking spots that are only for cable, because I think we're on. I will always park there.
Oh yeah, it's
I
HCAT
feel like
celebrity
that's
parking
for me.
only.
That's
Yeah.
the HCAT spot right
Yeah,
there.
I feel like at this point, it's okay. Not
All right,
getting in trouble.
we'll see everybody next week. My FM 101.3, Money and the Law.
Have a great week, everybody.